Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mr. Frank, popularly known as Teacher Black from the BSL Investment Company Limited. As it's a beautiful day, and here I would like to tell you a little bit about conflict resolutions. Most of the companies, organizations, institutes, or any other kind of a group of people, they tend to have different conflicts there within. So by using this nice moment, I would like to welcome you all, listening perfectly, slowly, step after step, all about conflict resolutions. As a manager, as a director, as a general staff, and whatever they're at your office, how are you supposed to resolve your conflicts? First and foremost, the meaning of the conflict. Conflict, we sometimes define it as a misunderstanding between the two different parts. When you have this part and that part, quite different in misunderstanding. They do never misunderstand between them. That is a conflict. And conflict may rise in different aspects just because of different reasons. And just for this time, I'd like to tell you the sources of conflicts in an organization. The major sources of conflict may be shortlisted as follows. The first one, it's all about interesting groups. When we have organization, they have interesting groups. You would have a certain company producing or selling different kind of services therein. And when it arises a certain group with their interest, with their personal interest, they may tend into conflict with the rest of the group. On those two different groups, the first one is looking for the personal profit, and the other group is just looking for the welfare of the company, the welfare of the organization. So those two different visions may interact into what we call conflict. So as yourself there, you need to avoid the interesting groups. Brothers and sisters, the other source of conflict in any kind of organization is all about what we call internal relationship. Relationship may be defined in a different aspect, in different angles. Relationship may be in what we call friendship, we call love relationship, sometimes just brothers and sisters, just a brotherhood. So all those kind of relationships may influence what we call conflict in organization. When you relate to somebody, when you're closer to somebody, where you are in a relationship with somebody within the organization, you will defend him or her on every part of things that you'll be doing in the company. So sometimes you need to put apart the relationship and you have to focus on organization goals, on organization objectives. So as a person engaged in a company, you need to avoid all sort of relationship. The only thing that you need to be related with is that we call organization, mission, vision, and objectives. Bear on that, work on that, be first on that, and avoid the rest of the things. And sometimes readiness is a source of conflict. When you were just working in a company or in any kind of organization, people needs to work harder. People wants to be in smart and first track way on working over the services that are supposed to be provided, on the duties that and accountability that you're supposed to work on it. So when it turns to some of the people becomes lazier, they work less, they are there idle, working not out of ambitions that may rise into conflict. Why? Some of the people may be working hard, as you know, hard working pies. And if you see somebody succeeding, you tend to create some sort of conflict there within. And from that moment, you may become desperate. So what you need to do is that you need to work hard in your company as far as you want success. And you have to work hard over your company as far as you need to approach the right way of your company. You need to achieve the perfect ambition, the perfect goals of your organization. From that aspect, let me tell you, the other source of conflict, we may determine it in extravagance. And this is directly imposed to those leaders, executives. You are the manager, you are the accountant, Sometimes you're the principal or you're the director, whatever, with mandate or authority to do something. So within that authority, you need to be very smart on it. When you use or you misuse organizational things, organizational properties may lead into conflict, because some of the people or some of the workers or some of the staff, they may be in need to see the progress of a company, the progress of the organization. So once you are misusing, you may enter into the conflict. So what are you supposed to do is that you need to avoid. Sometimes we have fear of unknown. Within organization, many people, they have fear of unknown. We call it inferiority complex. Let me tell you, Abraham Maslow on hierarchies of need ever told us on how we must make our personal self-actualization. But when you're just doing your self-actualization, you need to look on the other sides. You should never be egocentric. You should never fear anything. We have what we call core status. Some of the leaders in managerial levels, they do fear to lose out their position. Never. Be competent, be confident, work hard. That will protect and guide your position. But if you work out of the things I've mentioned, you probably must lose your attention. The first thing that may identify you that you are the failure to work is all about the fear of unknown. So you need to be stronger. You need to work hard and you need to be smart. You shall never fear anybody. The fear comes when you are lazy. The fear comes when you are not doing proper things around what you are supposed to do that. From that way, you may lose different things. Dear ladies and gentlemen, when we speak about what we call a conflict resolution, needs us to have the strong intention among ourselves within the company. Now, how are we supposed to resolve it generally? The first thing, you have to identify the root of the conflict. How are you supposed to resolve this organizational conflict? The first one, you need to resolve the root of the conflict. After you identify what we call the root, you need to formulate some solutions in very fast way. The second step that you're supposed to do is that you have to consider the contributing factors. What are the factors that are contributing to happen those conflicts within the organization? For you know the contribution, it made the division or delegation, whatever, what we call the fairness or equality, some sort of relationship. You have to block the chain for the factors that lead to that conflict. The other thing that I would like to tell you, you have to brainstorm the solution. In every points of conflict, you need to brainstorm as first as you can how you're supposed to resolve it. And the other thing here, I would like to tell you, agree on an outcome. Sometimes we need to agree with outcomes. You should never disagree. You should never argue with that. Be perfect. Be neat and smart. Agree with the outcome. Once you agree with the outcome, then things could move on. But if you object in everything, you become an opponent on every step, then things must become desperate on that point. Okay, dear ladies and gentlemen, I may have a lot to say about conflict resolutions, but the shorter and smart thing that you're supposed to do is that we need to be smart in every step. Peace must be there in our companies. Togetherness must be there in our organizations. Thank you for this time. God bless you. I wish you peace and I wish you the unit in your organization. Ciao.